Thanks once again for the privilege of your company as we hit the road for tonight's installment of the news in English on Canal International. Right ahead, the headlines with Kejang Henry Atembe.
Cameroon on the blacklist of oil-rich Gulf state, the United Arab Emirates, following the suspension of tourist visa for some 20 African countries, saying people stay more than the recommended time demanded. And the 6:15 news takes us to the Campoman National Park in the south region of Cameroon, where residents on the outskirts of the park are victims of recurrent animal attacks. All eyes on Sunak as the first caller of Indian ancestry moves to the number 10 as the new Prime Minister. The Barack Obama of the United Kingdom has begun work after meeting King Charles at the Buckingham Palace. Welcome to the 6:15 news with Ntariki Divine, Ramsey Jr.
Thanks once again for hanging out with us. Before delving into our top stories, let's start out with what should be some heartwarming information for car owners residing in the capital, Yaoundé, as law enforcement officers have cracked a gang of suspected car thieves. Beatrice Ngamo says 2 of the suspects, who are part of a gang of 10, are currently behind bars following investigations opened about 4 months ago. The curious thing about this gang is that they are all car vendors. A report.
The cries and complaints came from the collective of vehicle sellers based in Yaoundé and Douala on the theft of 3 RAV4, 1 Toyota Yaris and 1 Toyota Avensis, signaling the first Gendarmerie region. The Judicial Research and Criminal Investigation Unit went to work immediately. That was last July the 24th. And one of the supposed fell into their net with the Toyota Avensis at the Manguier neighborhood in Yaoundé. From him was easy to reach his accomplice last October the 15th in Chang West region with the RAV4. The investigation that continued led to the arrest of the supposed gang leader in Douala with the Toyota Yaris. This far, the Gendarmerie was able to retrieve 4 of the cars, which were handed the rightful owners after our checking and control of documents following the legal procedure. The gang comprised vehicle sellers who know how to sell the cars, how to resell while blocking any trace. It is to end the new phenomenon that the collective of vehicle sellers are denouncing these others who are about to destroy the fast-growing business, exploiting innocent Cameroonians and making away with their monies and vehicles.
Now on to one of our lead stories and some disturbing news for travelers, tourists, businessmen, and of course job seekers intending to travel to the United Arab Emirates after authorities there decided to issue new visa restrictions. In fact, 30-day visas will no longer be issued until further notice, a decision that is causing eyebrows to rise across 20 African countries, including Cameroon, affected by the decision. Here's Gladys Ambo.
At the different travel agencies we visited in Douala, Cameroon's economic city, this Tuesday, October 25, 2022, managements of the establishments were hesitant to comment on the recent ban decision by the United Arab Emirates. They, however, told us off camera they had neither received nor seen the official document that restricts entry of Cameroonians and 19 other African countries into Dubai, but said they were convinced the restriction order was already being respected, as most of the online visa applications for the United Arab Emirates are being rejected without valid reasons. All they are told is rejected for security reasons. The decision went into force on October 24, 2022. There are, however, reports that the recent decision is aimed at keeping away African nationals who had taken advantage of the visit visas to overstay in the United Arab Emirates. This is not the first time the United Arab Emirates is suspending entry into the country.
Let's come back home to Cameroon and precisely to Yaoundé, where diabetes patients have been raging and fuming over the past 2 weeks following a protracted insulin stockout. They say their conditions have been steadily deteriorating as they unsuccessfully hunt for the life-saving substance. But there could be hope in the horizon with announcements of a fresh supply of insulin on its way to Cameroon. Here is Beatrice Ngamo.
For 20 years going, Anatole has been living and managing his diabetes war. But the recent insulin rupture has had its toll on him in a state of crisis, the second in his treatment process. Like him are these many other patients out here to buy insulin. The situation has been like this for 2 weeks now, not available in the pharmacy. And it is the reserve at the National Diabetology and High Blood Pressure Center that has helped some, but it is finished also.
When you don't have insulin, that means the sugar you are eating will go in the blood in the state of sugar.
This as insulin helps regulate blood sugar level and store excess glucose for energy.
The diabetes will grow up and can destroy the ring, destroy their heart, and they will sell them to make dialysis. Situation is not good.
This, as the National Procurement Center for Essential Drugs and Medical Devices, SENAME, is announcing distribution of stock of insulin in hospitals.
Insuline rapide, c'est un stock de 3212 stars. Nous avions environ 1297 en stock. Et nous avons enfin l'insuline lent qui est de 812 unités disponibles.
The tension and rupture very evident in the private sector, as it is difficult for pharmaceutical wholesalers in the world to get supply. But the situation is being stabilized also. Like Anatole, or what the diabetic patients are looking forward to is insulin to better live with their situation.
Now on to something else and on to communications, where some media landscape analysts posit that over time there's been a steady erosion of public trust in the media in Cameroon and especially across developing countries of the South. As the world commemorates the Global Media and Information Literacy Week this week, experts say hope of a turnaround is not completely lost. One of them, Joe Chebonken-Kalabopse of the National Communication Council, spoke to our Yaoundé reporter Hyacinth Chia.
We must all the same pay attention to the risk of a poor mastery of ICTs, which could lead to social division at the secondary level, one that would exclude a considerable portion of this population from exercising its global citizenship due to its digital illiteracy. It is therefore essential to promote a responsible behavior to accustom the Cameroonian population with ICTs, and above all, to warn them of the dangers that may likely ensue from this interaction. Media literacy is therefore a major factor in the knowledge and development of societies in the 21st century.
Okay, Kalabopsi there speaking to our Yaoundé reporter Hyacinth Chia. Now, If you are a regular user of the WhatsApp, the social media platform, then you must have experienced a freezing of the system earlier Tuesday across Cameroon as heavy downpours lashed most parts of the country. And while the rains may have had nothing in connection with the freezing of the system, users were panic-stricken across Douala in Cameroon, where Saleh Sherifa caught up with some of them. A report.
After the torrential pour of October 25th, there was a sudden communication break. Many users of WhatsApp as a vehicle of communication were startled when they could not communicate the popular social media platform.
Not able to be connected when you want to is frustrating because things now move with the internet. I didn't know it was difficult because I sent a video in a WhatsApp forum and it didn't work. I came back to the office using Wi-Fi. It didn't work. There are many people who work with the internet. Many are those who communicate with the family through WhatsApp.
For an hour, it was extremely difficult for people to communicate, pushing them to swing to other social media platforms.
I have no choice but to switch to the macros. It's difficult. There are lots of people who can contact WhatsApp, but with the macros you are obliged to recharge airtime, which at times it's not sufficient.
There was a sigh of relief after WhatsApp resurfaced an hour later.
From the internet, we take you to the environment and precisely to the Campo-Man National Park in the southern parts of Cameroon, where the authorities are banking on ecotourism as a means of curbing conflicts between humans and wildlife. As we hear in the following report, locals out there in the past have waged war against elephants for devastating their farmlands, gorillas for attacking them, and other forms of wildlife. Stephanie Chin.
The Campo-Man National Park, a vast primeval forest in the south region of Cameroon, has been a safe haven for wildlife for years. It is recorded that the 264,064 hectares forest is home to 500 plant species, 80 species of mammals, including gorillas and elephants, 249 fishes, reptiles, 80 species of amphibians, and over 300 species of birds. However, residents on the outskirts of the park are victims of animal attacks. Some 20 complaints from victims in 8 villages have been recorded by the Conservation Services of Campo-Man National Park. The park manager reports that 3 to 4 hectares of plantations have been destroyed in each of the 8 villages. 80 to 90% of the attacks are attributable to elephants, the rest to gorillas, chimpanzees, buffaloes, hedgehogs, pangolins, and porcupines. 10 years ago, the World Wildlife Fund launched a habituation project to familiarize a group of gorillas with human presence in order to develop ecotourism. Part of the proceeds from the project to be allocated for local communities with the dual aim of raising awareness of species conservation while curbing human-wildlife conflicts. The habituation process project aims to develop ecotourism, which can generate income and to encourage inhabitants to take care of their environments. World Wildlife Fund said it was testing and studying the possibility of an insurance system to compensate victims in case of attacks.
Stephanie Chin there with contributions from our partners at the Agence France-Presse, the AFP. Now let's talk sports because the countdown is fast narrowing to the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, and the qualified 32 nations are intensifying preparations both on and off the pitch. And when it comes to the case of Cameroon off the pitch, there is one name that is household across Cameroon. His face is familiar across the globe. He is called Ngando Piquet. So how is he preparing? Hyacinth Chia caught up with him earlier today in Yaoundé.
Cameroonians know him as Ngando Piquet, but his real name's Henry Moyebe, mascot of the Indomitable Lions since 1996 African Cup of Nations. He has lived the glorious and gloomy moments of the Lions, and his biggest deception, he says, remains the 1998 World Cup in France and the Lions' catastrophic 2014 Brazil World Cup expedition. With the new dynamics at the helm of the Cameroon Football Federation, Ngando is confident that Cameroon is up for a better performance in Qatar.
All my life is for Cameroon, it's for Indomitable Lions. So I know by myself, by God, by which we are new president, Samuel Eto'o talk say, I think Cameroon is going to be the first country for win World Cup. For Africa, yes.
And with barely 27 days to kick off, maximum preparations are cooking up at the level of the fan base to give Rigobert's Song and his boys a hilarious support, pushing them to victories during the soccer bonanza.
This time, every 2 days a day Yaoundé. Every 2 days a day Yaoundé for meet all supporters. For tell them say this World Cup will go for Qatar is one big World Cup where Cameroon must do some better thing.
It should be recalled that Ngando Piquet was in Qatar about a month ago to lay groundworks for the 12th player of the indomitable Lions as the D-Day approaches. At 70, the native of Bonadibang in Douala insists that nothing can separate him from football and the Lions, ready to fly the green, red, yellow colors for life.
And from sports, let's hop across Camus borders to Britain in Europe, where the incoming Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has vowed to bring back stability and unity within the Conservative Party in his country. The third Prime Minister for Britain in recent weeks and the first citizen of color says he will do everything to ensure that Britain forges its path ahead in a world that is blighted by a context of economic difficulties and political hardships. But who exactly is Rishi Sunak? Kejang Henry Atembe attempts an answer.
Turning point in Britain after the United Kingdom welcomes first colour citizen as Prime Minister. Rishi Sunak takes the historic move to number 10 after shaking hands with King Charles. The 42-year-old superfluous bourgeois is known to have risen swiftly as Member of Parliament to become Chancellor of the Exchequer. The man who many now call the Barack Obama of the UK is of Indian ancestry. His parents migrated to Britain, where he was born 42 years ago. An erudite from Oxford and Stanford universities, Rishi Sunak is reputed to have made huge fortunes in finance before moving to Parliament in 2015.
Some call him the billionaire Prime Minister for Britain. Now let's hear from the man himself shortly after his designation as the new PM for Britain.
It is the greatest privilege of my life to be able to serve the party I love and give back to the country I owe so much to. The United Kingdom is a great country, but there is no doubt we face a profound economic challenge. We now need stability and unity, and I will make it my utmost priority to bring our party and our country together, because that is the only way we will overcome the challenges we face and build a better, more prosperous future for our children and our grandchildren.
And we drop the curtains on this edition of the news in English on Canal International on a rather apologetic note, because owing to the unavailability of the main guest for the program, 10 minutes pour convaincre will not be aired tonight on Canal International. Our sincere apologies. That was initially scheduled to take place from 9:30 p.m. tonight. The guest is unavailable, and so the program will not be aired until another time in the future. Thanks sincerely for having stayed on with us. Please make sure to be there tomorrow, the same time, the same place, for another installment of the news in English on Canal International. Thanks for watching.